Okay, 50 grand, we get this on one take. What's up, everybody? You know what it is? It's Y Golf TV. This is at Shawn Clement. This is Million New Golf. We're going to jump straight into some Twitter questions. We just want to start off by saying we appreciate the love that you guys have been giving us on Twitter so far.
Nice to be loved.
Yeah. Please feel free to drop some questions below on these YouTube videos. And you know how to hit us up with video and take a look at our Vine page if you are so inclined. Okay, yeah. So first question, Maddie, what's up? Behind the ones and twos. What's the first question? Perfect. Ball position. Thank you. So, if you haven't noticed, Shawn can play from left and right-handed.
That's it.
He's multi-talented.
I swing both ways. Oh, sorry, that didn't come out too well.
So somebody had a question regarding their setup for 6-iron, maybe a shorter club and a 3-wood with ball position. So I'm going to let Shawn take over and do it up.
Cool. So number one, I want you to stay very open-minded when it comes to ball position, because you'll notice that ball position changes up depending on the shot that you want to hit. You may not be ready for that, so let me give you a very basic ball position to start off with, okay? So you remember our first episode of cutting grass. So if I'm cutting grass with one arm, so I got my grass cutting tool, the sole of the club is a grass cutting tool, and I'm just going to let this swing around my shoulder socket, you'll notice how the club basically bottoms out underneath my shoulder socket. So now if I bring both shoulders together by taking my grip, the clavicles bring the shoulder sockets together to this point here. It's called the sternal notch, okay? And that is basically where the club wants to bottom out. So we do have a nice little weight shift toward the target. So if you want a real safe place to put your ball to start off with, put it right in the middle, okay? So you find the center of your stance, draw a line right there between, perpendicular to the heel line. Right? Always look at the heels, because sometimes, you know, you'll flare one foot and not flare the other foot. So I'm putting right in the center of my heels, let the club fall right there. And I want to feel that that is the ultimate place to cut my dandelion stem. So I'm visualizing a dandelion stem underneath this dandelion here. And if I just take a swing, you'll notice the club wants to bottom out slightly in front of that. So I want the first thing to get cut is that dandelion stem. So with the irons, a wedge or a 6-iron, we're still in a great place if we use the center of the stance. Now, if I get to the fairway wood, notice how that club is much wider. So you've got your iron, which is much narrower. The center of mass is right underneath the shaft, where the center of mass of this club is much farther back in the club head. So I want to have the center of the club head in the center of my stance and the ball forward of that. So that's going to squeeze that ball more forward. So I want the center of the club in the center of the stance, ball forward of that. And you'll notice when I swing that, I've got a much wider blade to cut that dandelion stem. So notice where the club wants to bottom out. So the center of mass wants to bottom out here in the center of my stance. That moves the club face forward, and that's what's going to nudge. I want to nudge my ball a little bit closer to my front foot for that purpose, okay? So as a basic ball position, that's what I would go with. And then we can talk about the driver and end of the show, because the driver, the ball is on a tee, it's in the air. You want to catch that as your club is returning into the air. You'll notice when we were cutting grass with that wedge and lawnmower, so the low point is at the bottom here. Just before that is where you want to catch the dandelion stem. And just after that, you'll be cutting the dandelion stem on the way up with the driver. So there's your basic premise. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, Matt, if you wouldn't mind just swinging the camera around, just come on over here. Just about right there. So, you know, we at A Million New Golf, we appreciate that there's people that like to learn a number of different ways. Some people like a logical explanation, and some people are like, just give me something to go do and let me figure it out for myself. And the cool thing about ball position is it's forever changing, like Shawn mentioned. And what we've done here, this is obviously a left-handed curve, and this would be, for a right-handed player, the curve. If you put the ball in all various different spots, you know, you'll notice that where the club face is pointing when it hits the ball can be different depending on where you put it in your stance. So the cool thing about golf is you know, you can go to the driving range and you can find your ball position every day. And what we mean by that is, you know, there isn't a rule that says the ball has to be here. You want to put the ball in a spot that allows you to hit the shot that shapes the way you want, okay? So you guys are very smart. You're very capable. Don't be afraid to, you know, think outside the box here and put the ball in different spots and let the ball tell you where it should be based on the shot you're trying to hit. Cool?
That's cool, man.
Okay. We'll probably jump into one more Twitter question here.
All right.
And then we'll talk about Tiger Woods. Because Tiger Woods is coming back. He's got a tournament in December. Tiger Woods is obviously a center point in the game where a lot of people care about what he's doing and how he's evolving as a golfer. So we'll talk about that in a second. But the question that was posed to us is the right leg in your swing, does it need, or your trail leg if you're a right-handed golfer, your back leg, does it need to straighten? Does it need to stay bent? What needs to happen there in order for you to swing?
So since they talked about the right leg, obviously that person who asked is a right-handed player. So I'll take my right-handed glove out and I'll go ahead and answer that question. First and foremost, you know, you remember the walk of Arthur Fonzarelli? You may be a little young for that, right?
I have no idea who he's talking about.
Happy days. Hey, so this is an exaggerated human walk. So you notice when you're walking down the street, you see a lot of bobbing heads. You don't see people walking this way. If you do, stay clear of that person. So the human body has a very specific way to respond to gravity. Now, I don't want to talk about one leg in particular because as you make your backswing motion, what we're trying to do is allow the arms to swing freely into the backswing. You're going to see Bubba Watson swing very nicely like that. If you go back a few years, you'll see Jack Nicklaus do it extremely well, and Tom Watson. They're allowing that lower body to move out of the way in the backswing, and that's, you know, it's a much freer, much more user-friendly way of going about it, and that's what we recommend. So you'll notice that as the body gets out of the way, the legs, so if we look at, let's get Scully in here real quick, okay? So you'll notice that the hip is the femur and the femur is half your knee. Now in order for you notice how the rib cage and the pelvis sit on top of the hips here, the only way to get this out of the way, rib cage and pelvis, so let's say I was making a punch towards Connor here, the first thing that happens is the weight's going to shift, and then the body gets out of the way. So you notice how, as the body gets out of the way, my leg has to extend. My leg is using the ground to remove my rib cage and pelvis out of the way so I have access to Connor, okay? So both legs will extend in the backswing is the answer to your question.
What?
All right? What? So both legs extend. So as I go back, you'll notice how both hips and knees and femur are used to remove my rib cage and pelvis out of the way. So this is what it's going to look like. Now I notice it didn't go up that much. And if I swing the club back and through without stopping the same way a person would be walking, you'll notice how my head bobs up and down a little bit. So it's out of the way, and then you'll see a nice squat, and then it's out of the way again, and it comes back up. So you see Rory squats beautifully in his downswing. We're talking about Tiger. Tiger has had a really solid squat in his swing his whole career. It was way more effective when he was young and swinging a lot more freely. And then we'll have our opinions on that as well.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So the answer is allow your legs to move the way they need to move. Okay?
Cool. And you know, another thing, again, back to the practical piece of this is a lot of people are already making this move when they start a lawnmower. Okay? So if I'm starting a lawnmower, I'm grabbing a lawnmower, I'm in the backyard, and I go like this. This is a movement that is completely identifiable or relatable to golf. This is something you already do. And one of the keys to being able to learn this game and being able to adapt movements that you can already make in other aspects of your life to your golf swing is to draw the correlate or draw the connection. So, you know, you're starting a lawnmower. There's a reason that people start a lawnmower like this. It allows them to leverage the ground appropriately. You know, if I went to start a lawnmower like this, I'm probably not going to create enough energy to actually get the engine moving, okay? So
that's a good one.
this is the last thing we're going to say about it. And the more that you watch the show, the more you'll understand that our approach is not to tell you directly necessarily what the answer is all the time, but to give you a way to kind of intelligently weed through what's out there.
Yes. We are the filter as to what's going on out there. So, you know, with our knowledge in anatomy and how the brain is wired and all of our experiences teach us, because we're lifers, we teach this game every day. That's what we do. We do this full time. And that's why this information is so valuable to you, okay?
Right, right. I think the last thing we want to say about that is, if you see a golf article in a magazine and they're telling you to not do something, it's not really helping you learn how to move in a more dynamic or correct function.
Sure.
So let's skip over those articles for a little while.
Yeah, that's it. Stop being so careful. Be a little more carefree.
Yep.
And enjoy and let things happen. We're really wired that way.
All right, we're running a little late today. We'll talk about Tiger in the next show. Thanks for tuning in.
See you next time.